That's a car chase where there's nowhere to hide from tonight's police camera action.
We're looking at the latest techniques used by the police to trap the fugitives who just won't stop. I'm with the instructor who's going to test those tactics to the limit. There's nowhere to hide in tonight's police camera action. Sarah and I are being chased down the motorway by the Metropolitan Police in a simulated pursuit. Now, bringing any pursuit to a safe and swift conclusion is an absolute priority for the police. And one standardized procedure that's been developed with that specifically in mind is called TPAC, Tactical Pursuit and Containment. Now, just to see how effective that tactic really is, Sarah's going to do her best to escape. But the drivers in our next set of clips were not so fortunate in trying to escape the attentions of the police. Amazingly, this driver on the right thinks she's invisible as she speeds past the patrol car on the wrong side of the road on the pavement. She's wrong, as is the driver of the red sports car, who darts out of the queue ahead and dashes through a red light. He narrowly misses oncoming traffic. He too has nowhere to hide and is followed and stopped. But at least he pulled over, unlike the three youths in this speeding Astra, who try and rely on sheer recklessness and a complete disregard for others' safety to outrun the police. Careering through West London on a Friday night, they narrowly miss scores of late-night revellers out for a good time. A check on the police computer has revealed the car appears not to have been reported lost or stolen. But still the youths refuse to stop. The police driver is determined to keep up with his target car, but is also determined to follow them in as safe as possible a way. He slows down for the numerous red lights and pedestrian crossings, all ignored by the fleeing youths. He also has the advantage of his blue flashing lights and sirens to warn people of his presence. It's not on the police computer yet, but the car has been stolen from a Buckinghamshire railway station earlier in the evening. The youths hit one car, a taxi, but worse is to follow. Fortunately, no one was seriously hurt in the collision. As with most pursuits, the end is predictable. Police capture the driver and front seat passenger, both aged 15. They're banned from driving and their parents are bound over to take proper control of their sons. The backseat passenger first rescues his dog from the car, but drops it as he stumbles. The 23-year-old is later arrested when he returns to retrieve his pet and is jailed for 7 months. I'm still on the run in the red car below to demonstrate how the police use a posse of police cars to box in and capture a fleeing criminal.
Approaching the Olmsted Junction 4, stand by.
Sarah and I have done well to avoid being stopped so far by the patrol cars behind, but we're about to come head-to-head with the TPAC team. Their job, through careful coordination and instruction, is to track us.
Lane 3, lane 2, lane 1. Hard shoulder, speed 45. Unit standby.
Sarah's just swerved across now onto the hard shoulder, which is the only escape route that we have. Now, at the moment, what I can see are 3 patrol cars aligned. We've got a clear exit now over to the left. We can't get through on the right. We can dash through here onto the hard shoulder, but immediately car number 1 comes in front of us.
Yeah, keep it rolling. Time up, units.
The 2 to the side, that's incredibly close, but that's squeezing in again, shutting down all of the possibilities. It's worked and they've stopped us, but I'm going to try and make a dash for it. So there you are. It's all over. TPAC, yet again, has worked, and I've been arrested. Now, clearly, this has all been a carefully coordinated exercise, but in reality, up and down the country, TPAC is being used with spectacular results. In actual pursuits, the TPAC tactics are best employed on a motorway or dual carriageway, where the speed of the fleeing car is normally much higher than in urban areas. Here, Thames Valley officers are pursuing a car up the M40. They've already followed it for miles along the M4 and the M25. As the target car speeds past the slow-moving traffic, 4 patrol cars manoeuvre to box it in. The pursuit started when police were called to a bungled house burglary near Reading. But unlike training, out here there is a real risk of car-to-car contact, and police skills are pushed to the limit. The only way these suspects will stop is when they literally run out of road, and the officers have to physically push them to the side of the motorway. With the wheels finally off their bid to escape, 2 youths are led away. One was later jailed, the other received a supervision order.
Yeah, there's 1 person in the vehicle. It's driving not too bad. I can't give a description.
This car's being pursued in heavy rain, but TPAC works in all weathers. Here on the M6, police officers from Staffordshire are pursuing a driver suspected of using credit cards stolen from Leicester. Nowadays, criminals like to take to the motorway for their getaway. It's in the mistaken belief that they can elude police by crossing county borders. But close cooperation between forces means that there's no escape for this criminal. Slow-moving traffic enables the police cars to move around the runaway car and box it in. All escape routes are blocked, and the driver has no option but to give up.
Yes, he's looking down. We stopped the vehicle, select our chair.
Modern technology has so far failed to come up with a fast and accurate way of testing if motorists have been driving under the influence of drugs. Well, here in Cleveland, police officers have been piloting a series of tests last used by British police in the 1960s to identify drink drivers. They are old-fashioned sobriety tests.
That's not in relation to the manner of driving. I wonder if you carry out a few tests with us.
Certainly. Formally, they're known as field impairment tests to measure my awareness of time and space, which clearly would be impaired if I had been taking drugs. The tests may involve trying to touch the tip of my nose with my finger, closing my eyes, tilting my head back and count to 30. I may be asked to extend one leg, stretch the toes out and count 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. And then there's another that you may be familiar with, which is to walk in a straight line, one foot in front of the other, turn round and do it again. They also carry this card, which is to check for pupil dilation. Now, if I fail those tests, I'd then be taken to the police station, where I'd be given further medical checks. Now, these tests have proved enormously successful in the United States in identifying unfit drivers, as our next clips show.
Any questions about that?
No one is more unfit than this driver in Pinellas County, Florida, who just won't stand still as the officer explains the test.
Okay, miss me. Don't start yet. Remember, all I want you to do, left foot on the line, right foot in front of it, touching heel toe, hands down by your side, and stand in this position. Don't do anything else until I finish demonstrating the test for you. Right. Okay, miss me. You started again.
My left. What me to start? I'm sorry.
No, sir. No, sir. I just want you to stand. Watch me. Okay, can you do this? And stand there. Don't do anything else. Okay. No, miss me. Don't start. Don't start. Don't start. Okay. You see what I'm doing here? You see what I'm doing here? This is what I want you to do. Just stand there, just like that. Stand on top of that line, just like this. Okay. All right, left foot on it, right foot in front of it, and you can be...
But when the man finally is allowed to take the test, despite his numerous rehearsals, he completely fails to toe the line. Not surprisingly, after this display, the man was banned for driving under the influence of alcohol and sentenced to community service.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and stop there?
But drunken drivers are a real menace to all road users. Police in Staffordshire spotted this driver in Stoke-on-Trent, who can barely keep his car on the road. He seems to be literally blind drunk. He fails to respond to the patrol car behind him and continues to weave his way home, taking a shortcut down a narrow alleyway. He finally realizes there's nowhere to hide. He grinds to a halt and is swiftly arrested. The driver, clearly worse for wear, is later fined £300 and disqualified from driving for 18 months. Coming up in part 2, a speeding biker takes to the grass to escape a ticket. Two drivers turn a main road into a racetrack, and how dense woodland provides nowhere to hide after a bungled burglary. A mother is struggling to cross a busy road with 2 children and a heavy bag of shopping, but no one wants to let her through. Amazingly, she takes matters into her own hands and moves her family into the middle of the road. But still, no one cares. A fatal accident is only narrowly averted. Last year, 3,421 people were killed on Britain's roads. That's the equivalent of the entire population of an average village wiped out every year. And each of those deaths costs the British taxpayer nearly £1.5 million. Now, when there is a fatality on the roads here in Dyfed-Powys of Wales, members of the Accident Investigation and Prevention Unit turn up on the scene. Through reconstruction and careful measurement, they can ascertain exactly what happened. By comparing skid marks from the reconstruction with skid marks from the actual accident, officers can then work out precisely the speed at which the driver was travelling. All distances are then carefully measured by laser. Then all that information is then loaded onto a computer data card like this, which is then used to create a computer sketch of the whole incident. More often than not, officers find that human error was to blame. Like the driver on the left, barging in at this junction. Or this driver, who changes lanes without looking. It's at complicated junctions that people seem to lose all sense of direction, as here in Denmark. It may be difficult to negotiate a complicated junction, but how can anyone so lose their sense of direction as to end up going the wrong way down a dual carriageway? Certainly the driver of this escort couldn't think of a good explanation. It's often in police pursuits that unforced human errors cause the most damage. Here in Los Angeles, the driver of the silver car completely misjudges his speed at a busy junction. Disorientated from the accident, he first runs round before stopping and giving himself up. Sensible behaviour the driver of this Chevrolet pickup truck should have imitated, as he careers out of control down the exit road of an American motorway. The driver was arrested and taken to hospital, where he later recovered. Tracking devices have become increasingly popular as an effective deterrent to car theft. But a new system fitted to this Jaguar is radically different. It uses satellite technology to pinpoint exactly where the car is, but it's in the key fob where there are some really clever tricks. I've come across an abandoned car in a country lane. I've no idea if it's been stolen, broken down, abandoned, but I can't get through, so I'm going to use the fob to contact the emergency services. Oh, hello, good afternoon. To be honest, I've no idea where I am, but there's a Rover in the lane up ahead of me. I can't get through. I've no idea if it's been stolen or just left there. I wonder if you could help me out. That's great. Thanks very much indeed. The system helps guide the police to our precise location, but it's a huge advantage to all of the emergency services, getting them quickly to the scene of an accident or indeed the location of a stolen car. But once the car's been found, it's then down to traditional police skills to catch the thief. An attempt to throw off a police pursuit by driving down a dirt track fails when these criminals crash by a railway line in Oxfordshire. The men quickly try and hide in the heavy undergrowth of the railway embankment. But traditional police methods, allied to the skills of the Chiltern Air Support Unit, means they've nowhere to hide. At first they think a gang of railway workers will provide the ideal cover for their getaway. But despite their casual attitude, they're swiftly picked out as imposters and arrested by the officers on the ground. The gang were later sentenced to a total of 21 months in jail. It's textbook cooperation between ground officers and the helicopter unit, as is this search for a burglar hiding out in an industrial estate in Lancashire.
Right. Yeah, if you turn right, it's the furthest point that you can get to.
The crew of the helicopter think that the man is hiding in a skip and guide in the ground officers.
That way, keep going, keep going. Keep going there. To your left now, there's some kind of container there. Yeah, we've got it. Yeah, that's it, thanks, sir.
Close air-to-ground cooperation again leads to an important arrest. The Museum of British Road Transport in Coventry is home to about 400 vehicles. The Sinclair C5 earned its place in the annals of history, ironically because it didn't pass the test of time. The museum is also home to Thrust 2, the car which regained the world land speed record for Britain in 1983. It was created and driven by entrepreneur Richard Noble. On the 4th of October 1983, in the Black Rock Desert in the United States of America, this car achieved a staggering 633 miles per hour. Noble later went on to lead a team which broke the sound barrier in a supersonic thrust car. Some of the drivers in our next set of clips look as if they're trying to set their own land speed records. Like this mad motorcyclist speeding through a housing estate in Middlesex. He's driving a powerful Kawasaki machine to the limit in a bid to get away. And thinking he's escaped, he performs a victory wheelie. But despite outrunning the patrol car, the biker has nowhere to hide. And officers later tracked him down, and he was arrested. Thoughtless speeding isn't confined to bikers, as shown by this golf driver in Denmark. Speeding on your own is bad enough, but racing against another car on the public highway is complete madness. Police estimate speeding kills 1,200 people on our roads every year. These two cars, chasing each other along the A174, were clocked by Cleveland officers, who have to accelerate to more than 100 miles an hour just to keep up with them. The police car's speed is shown at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Amazingly, both cars have passengers on board, but this doesn't deter the two racers. When the cars are eventually stopped, the two drivers explain that they didn't know each other, but they were racing against each other in a bid to prove their car was faster than the other driver's was. The Cleveland officers travel at a constant pace to carry out an official speed check, recorded at the bottom left of the picture. It shows the average speed of the target cars is more than 113 miles an hour. They've seen enough and accelerate to put an end to this ridiculous behaviour. The two racing drivers are still travelling at more than 100 when they leave the dual carriageway. Both drivers are pulled and were later disqualified for 2 years and ordered to pay hefty £500 and £700 fines within 30 days.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn
Like
the
speeding,
freaking
drink driving is no laughing matter. But it is difficult not to smile at the alcohol-induced antics of some offenders, like this woman in Florida.
Buddy, I'm going to say it real slow for you. Gay frogs! Won't you fight for your life? Gay frogs, friggin' frogs! I don't like a frog! Gay friggin' frogs! Frogs! Friggin' frog crap! Won't you fight the frogs? It's not funny! I'm gonna say it real slow for you. Frogs!